The word Viking instantly conjures images of fierce warriors, clad in helmets and wielding axes, storming across the seas in search of glory and treasure. But the reality of Viking life is far richer and more complex than the legends suggest. The Vikings were seafaring Norsemen from the rugged lands of Scandinavia, what we now know as Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, active from the late 8th to the late 11th century, a period spanning over 250 years. They were not just raiders, but also hard-working farmers, skilled traders, daring explorers, and even poets who passed down stories through generations. Their character was shaped by the harsh, dramatic landscapes of their homelands, fjords, forests, and mountains that demanded both toughness and ingenuity. Interestingly, Viking wasn't a nationality, but a job or activity. Anyone could go a Viking for a season, seeking fortune, adventure, or new opportunities before returning home to their families. Their society was built on close-knit clans led by powerful chieftains, and survival in such a world demanded resilience, resourcefulness, and skill. Master craftspeople, they built sturdy longhouses to withstand the elements and created intricate jewelry and tools, showcasing their artistry and technical knowledge. In doing so, they laid the groundwork for the explosive era that would follow, transforming their settlements into thriving communities. What drove them to the seas? Overpopulation, political strife, and the constant search for new land and resources all played a part. Most crucially, the invention of the longship, a revolutionary vessel that could cross both oceans and rivers, gave them the means to travel far and wide. This powerful combination of motive and technology launched the Viking Age, setting the stage for their dramatic and far-reaching impact on the world. The Vikings' story is one of ambition, adaptability, and extraordinary journeys, an epic saga that continues to fascinate us to this day. The Viking Age grips our imagination because of its drama and impact. Their first major raid at Lindisfarne in 793 AD shocked Europe, cementing their reputation as fearsome invaders. But they were also explorers, settling lands from England to Russia and even reaching North America centuries before Columbus. Their mythology, stories of Odin, Thor, and Loki, adds depth, revealing a culture rich in storytelling and meaning. The Vikings symbolize freedom, adventure, and a rugged individualism that still fascinates us. Their legacy endures in our stories, inspiring generations with their spirit of discovery and resilience. To truly understand the Vikings, you must look beyond their legendary battles and epic voyages, and instead step into their homes and observe their daily routines, which reveal so much about their culture and values. The Longhouse was the very heart of Viking life, communal, smoky, and always bustling with activity, sheltering not just families, but also their livestock under one roof. Family loyalty was absolutely paramount. Women managed farms, handled finances, and wielded real authority, while men took on the roles of hunters, farmers, and sometimes daring raiders. Their diet was hearty and sustaining. Grains, meat, fish, and foraged foods, all cooked over open fires, filling the Longhouse with rich aromas. Life was filled with hard work, but the Vikings also found joy in games, sports, and storytelling. Skalds, or storytellers, recited sagas by firelight, preserving their history, wisdom, and values for future generations. Music and simple instruments, like the lyre and bone flute, added to their rich cultural tapestry, bringing people together in song and celebration. The Vikings' daily life was a blend of survival, community, and creativity, with everyone, young and old, contributing to the well-being of the settlement. Their homes were centers of both hard work and joyful celebration, where feasts marked the changing seasons and important events. As evening fell, stories and music filled the air, binding the clan together and strengthening their sense of belonging. In these daily rhythms and shared moments, the true spirit and enduring legacy of the Viking Age thrived. The Viking longship was a marvel, fast, flexible, and able to navigate both open seas and shallow rivers. Built from oak using overlapping planks, these ships were strong yet light, crafted with simple tools by master shipwrights. Powered by sail and oar, a longship could strike swiftly and vanish just as fast. The dragon-headed prow was both a symbol and a weapon, meant to terrify enemies and protect the crew. Longships enabled exploration, trade, and conquest, becoming the heart of Viking identity. Chieftains were often buried in their ships, underscoring their cultural significance. The longship was the Vikings' key to the world and their legend. Viking warriors were legendary. Farmers turned fighters, ready to defend or raid at a moment's notice. Their weapons were practical: spears, axes, and, for the wealthy, swords, symbols of status and heritage. Shields, helmets, and mail offered protection, but their real strength was in aggressive, coordinated attacks. Raids were strategic, targeting wealthy, poorly defended sites and using the longship's speed for surprise. The wealth from raiding fueled power and influence back home. Yet Vikings also lived by laws and codes of honor, settling disputes at assemblies called things. Violence was a means to an end, building legacies and securing futures. The Viking warrior embodied both brutality and order. Their reputation was earned, but their society was far more complex than mere conquest. Vikings were explorers at heart, pushing into new lands across Europe and beyond. They founded cities like Dublin, ruled parts of England and France, and established the Kievan Rus in the east. Their trade routes stretched from Scandinavia to Byzantium and the Arab world. Westward, they settled Iceland, then Greenland, and finally reached North America, centuries before Columbus. Leif Erikson's landing in Vinland, now Newfoundland, is confirmed by archaeological finds. These journeys were feats of navigation and courage, expanding the known world. The Vikings' explorations connected distant cultures and changed history. Their legacy as pioneers endures in the lands they touched. Vikings were as much traders as raiders, building vast networks that spanned continents. They exported furs, ivory, timber, and iron, and traded slaves captured in raids. In return, they imported wine, glass, weapons, silver, silk, and spices. Trade operated on a bullion system. Goods were valued by weight in silver, not coins. Trading towns like Hedeby and Birka became bustling centers, filled with goods from as far as India. Archaeological finds reveal a cosmopolitan world, not an isolated one. Viking commerce connected Europe, Asia, and beyond, shaping economies and cultures. Their trading legacy is as enduring as their raids. Norse mythology shaped every aspect of Viking life, a world of gods, giants, and fate. Odin, Thor, Loki, and Freya were central figures, their stories explaining nature, destiny, and human struggle. Worship was woven into daily life, with rituals held in sacred groves or at home, not grand temples. Offerings and sacrifices sought favor for harvests, voyages, and battles. Chieftains led seasonal festivals, uniting communities in faith and tradition. Vikings believed in fate, word, accepting death as predetermined, fueling their fearlessness in battle. The myth of Ragnarok foretold the world's end and rebirth, reflecting their fatalistic yet hopeful worldview. These beliefs gave meaning to their lives and courage to their deeds. The sagas preserve a vibrant, complex spiritual legacy. The Viking Age, a period marked by exploration, conquest, and cultural exchange, gradually faded in the 11th century. This change came as Europe's kingdoms grew stronger and Scandinavia unified under powerful kings who brought stability to the region. Castles rose across the land, and well-organized armies made Viking raids increasingly risky and less rewarding. Internal consolidation shifted the focus from raiding distant shores to building nations and establishing lasting institutions at home. The spread of Christianity swept through Scandinavia, transforming beliefs, rituals, and the very fabric of society. Old gods and ancient traditions gave way to new faith, values, and a different worldview. The era of independent chieftains and fierce rivalries ended, replaced by centralized rule and new forms of leadership. Yet the Vikings' influence endured long after their age had passed. They shaped languages. Words like sky, window, and law come from Old Norse. Their daring explorations redrew the maps of Europe and beyond, connecting distant lands and peoples. Their sagas and stories preserved a unique worldview filled with adventure, heroism, and the mysteries of the North. The Vikings embodied both violence and artistry, chaos and order, leaving behind treasures and legends. Their contradictions, warriors and settlers, destroyers and creators, make them endlessly fascinating to this day. For 3 centuries, they changed the world in ways both dramatic and subtle, and their legacy still shapes our modern societies, cultures, and imaginations. The spirit of the Vikings lives on in our stories, our languages, our art, and our enduring sense of adventure and discovery, reminding us of a time when the world was full of new horizons.